Hello, YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode of The Grandstand here on the Ohio Patriot Education Network YouTube channel. I am, as always, your host, AR the Ohio Patriot. And for today's episode, we're going to talk about why scumbag Gavin Newsom needs to be thrown out of office and have his U.S. citizenship stripped and thrown out of this fucking country entirely. So, for those who haven't heard by now, which if you haven't, you probably won't really rock for the last couple of days, there has now been multiple massacres in the state of California using firearms that they want to keep calling mass shootings, even though they're not. At least one of them is 100% related to most likely Chinese cartels / Yakuza kind of guys is what it would be, which would be the latest one that happened where it was two different places. You had one of them, you had 4 people killed at it. It was like a mushroom farm of some kind where it was basically Chinese foreign nationals, as far as I'm understanding, that were running the thing. And then there was another one where it was like 3 other people that were killed at a different spot or something like that. That was like a harvest house or something like that is what I think it ended up being or something. That guy was taken into custody. The one before that on Chinese Lunar New Year, you had this crazy motherfucking old dude who nobody can figure out a motive for this guy. I'm actually thinking it might have been Sharikio at this point. For those who know what that is, you basically had Count Dankula do a video about that like some years back now, where it was this group in, I forget if it was Japan or China or one of those Asian countries. I forget exactly which one it was, dude. But it was basically a bunch of these folks that followed this like crazy cult leader guy, was what it was. And they did some kind of gas attack on the subway system or something like that back in the day in like the 80s or something, maybe the 70s, somewhere in there. I forget which decade it was, honestly, offhand, because it's been so long since I've watched the thing. But yeah, you had the group itself be called Sharikio, I think is how you pronounce it. And basically, there's been other terrorist attacks that have been tied to them in the last couple of decades, is what it was then. Like, I think the last one was like 2014 to 2017, somewhere in there. I think I committed another one over one of these nations. So I wouldn't be surprised in the least if this was another one of those kind of things, honestly. Or it could be, as the media is trying to point out, it could have been something where the guy who committed this atrocity at this dance studio place, that particular one in Monterey Park, could have actually easily been a domestic dispute kind of thing gone wrong, is what it is, dude. Domestic violence kind of thing gone extreme or something like that, which who knows, man? Who knows? And that's the problem, dude. When you don't have what I think is even more disgusting, though, right, is every time you hear about one of these massacres, you have these douchebags on the fucking left who will always do 2 things usually. Number one, always try to blame white people for it, even when it's not a fucking white person. You don't even know who the fucking suspected shooter is at that point. They'll just immediately default to white guy is what it is. Even though more than half of the fucking people that committed these massacres in the past few years now are either blacks, Asians, etc. So, it's not just white people doing fucking crazy mass shootings and stuff like that, dude, or any kind of massacre is what it is in this country. The second thing they will always default to is gun grabs. They will always, always, always default to, and this is why we need to put another gun law on the books. This is why we need to put 10 more gun laws on the books, even though every fucking gun law that's already on your goddamn books didn't do a fucking thing to stop this shit. The only thing that would have been to have constitutional carry and stand your ground, have some armed citizens actually smoke the motherfuckers, dude, is what it is. Which, by the way, the guy who actually wrestled the fucking gun away from the old man in the Monterey Park massacre there, dude, this fucking kid had the ability, after taking the fucking guy's gun, to kill him with it and didn't fucking take the shot, man. He's like, oh no, I didn't want to take another human life. And who's to say the guy's not going to run to his vehicle and go grab another gun and come back in and bang you again, dude? And then just keep on, grab the other fucking gun back from out of your hands or whatever the case be and keep going on the fucking massacre then. You don't know if he's just going to leave or whatever, dude. Could have been having more guns in the vehicle. Could have been having anything in the fucking vehicle for all you know. Could have came out with a fucking grenade in his hand, for God's sakes, or something like that, dude. You never know, man. But that's the entire point of the matter. It's like, no, if you have the chance to fucking end the threat, man, you end the fucking threat. You do what that guy did in the Houston, Texas fucking restaurant recently, dude. You ding ding, and you don't quit ding dinging until the fucking threat is neutralized. Seriously. Fuck. And that honestly goes to the problem of this country with the fucking beta-ass males and stuff like that, dude, and the pussy-ass fucking Delta males and shit like that. They don't have the actual balls to do anything is what it is, man. Now, yeah, that fucking Brandon kid actually had some nuts there and stuff to do at least something to fight the guy off because he didn't want everybody dying is what it was. But yeah, you could have fucking ended the threat, no, dude. Now, thankfully, in the situation, the old man ended his own life is what it was, dude. But yeah, it's a whole fucking thing. There's what it is. But how do you got piece of shit Gavin Newsom responding to all this shit? Like this crap right fucking here, dude. Sorry, I gotta grab the... Thought I had it loaded already. Apparently I did not. Yeah, this crap right fucking here from a news article from CNN. Gavin Newsom after Monterey Park shooting, quote, Second Amendment is becoming a suicide pact. What the fuck? The only suicide pact is the one that Democrats and rhinos created with each other back in the fucking 90s when they created gun-free zones in this fucking country, which were every school in the country, every fucking public university in the country, every fucking basically any place is what it was, dude, for the most part. Any government building, any fucking area around the government buildings, any of those places like that, dude, where you can't be armed and stuff. So it's like, nah, bro. When you have the entire fucking state of California at this point being a fucking gun-free zone for the most part, all you're doing is asking for these events to happen, dude. It's why you've had massacre after massacre happen in California, who has literally the strictest gun laws on the books as far as I'm aware of. Like, I don't think any other state has anything more restrictive than California does right now, dude. I mean, there might be one that has, like, a single law that's, like, more restrictive than California's, dude. But California, like, every single time is just like, Gavin Newsom's like, how can we fuck over people's rights even more? How can it become more of a fucking tyrant Chi-Com fuckboy is what it is, dude. Because, by the way, for those who don't know, man, Gavin Newsom, several years back now, has already sold America out to the fucking Chinese to use California as a fucking beachhead for any kind of future Chinese invasion of this country, dude. And took a shitload of fucking cash money, took a shitload of fucking gold and silver, a bunch of coins from various, cryptocurrencies and stuff like that, and a bunch of property and stuff like that, dude, for his fucking troubles. And that's exactly why you don't let fucking foreign nationals from other countries, China or otherwise, buy fucking land on our country's soil, dude, ever. Because that's what they gave that motherfucker in exchange in some cases. And that can all be proven too, by the way. You can go look into that stuff that I'm just talking about right now, dude. It's all out there in various articles and news feeds and stuff like that. You got to look kind of deep for it, is what it is, though, because unfortunately, if you go surface level, mainstream media ain't going to tell you about that shit, dude. They never cover that kind of stuff. They never will either, because it's like, why would you cover a fucking literal fucking traitor to this country who shouldn't even be in this country anymore? And if he isn't in this country anymore, he should bare minimum be in prison the rest of his life, if not, actual death penalty for high treason is what it is, dude, at this point in history, honestly. So, but yeah, what does pussy ass Gavin Newsom have around him at all times while he's bitching about suicide pact and Second Amendment? Let's see here. Let me get a good picture here. Let's see. We got how many fucking armed guards with his bitch ass right here? Looks like at least 3. So you got, let me go back on this for a sec here. So you got fuckboy number 1 in the glasses right behind him and the reporter woman. You got fuckboy number 2 over here in his little suit, which obviously has a gun in the jacket someplace. And then you got this fucking guy coming up on the corner here, who I'm pretty sure is openly carrying a rifle armed right there. So, yeah, at least 3 men with fucking guns surrounding this pussy-ass fucking bitch governor, who cheated his way back into office, by the way, multiple times now. I'm going to point that one out. Newsom should not even be governor of California right now because he's done massive voter fraud in multiple elections now, dude. Both in that recall in 2021 and the 2022 midterms, for that matter, when they fortified those elections. So, yeah, sitting there with multiple fucking people armed around him while he's talking to this fucking reporter chick from CNN, or not CNN, CBS. And then fucking hypocrite douchebag really had the audacity to say this shit while surrounded by armed security. It's fucking disgusting, dude. The only armed security these motherfuckers should have is people with slingshots. Slingshots and wood balls. Not even the fucking like big old like lead chunk things like that big or whatever. Not quite that big, about that big balls or whatever. No, it should be slingshots with fucking wood balls that can go about a foot or so after they're shot off the fucking slingshots. What it is, dude. But yeah, fuck Gavin Newsom entirely, man. For real. He's a fucking piece of shit. He needs to be tossed out of this fucking country entirely at this point, dude, not just out of office. Same thing with Sheila Jackson Lee. Same thing with all these motherfuckers like that, dude. They honestly should all be on the same fucking island right now, dude. They should be exiled to a fucking island right now, for real. I mean that seriously, for life. You know, don't even try for private treason, dude. Strip their citizenship in this country, kick them out of office, and toss them on a fucking island that can't be left from unless on like a boat or something like that, dude. Put them on a deserted island, kind of like that show Lost and stuff like that. See if they survive. If they survive, it's up to them, man. If they don't, good. You know, seriously. Exile them from this country soil for life is what it is, dude. And speaking of other people who need exile from the country, Governor Tim Walz is calling for an even more gun laws now, including a ban on standard capacity magazines and removing the Second Amendment right for 18 to 20-year-old adults. What he's not calling for, dealing with criminals. This is from Firearms Policy, this is from Minnesota Gunners, actually, caucus. And this is what they said here. Quote, reducing gun violence. Gun violence impacts every community in Minnesota. Governor Walz and Lieutenant Governor Flanagan proposed universal background checks on all firearm sales, extreme risk protection orders to help remove firearms from those who pose an immediate threat to themselves or others. Again, who says who is a threat, dude? I can say that you are a threat for trying to take my fucking guns away from me, dude. And why wouldn't I use them against somebody who's trying to take them away from me, honestly, dude? You know? Or anybody else for that matter, dude. Any American citizen. Some fucking piece of shit comes kicking their door in at 3 a.m., dude. Of course they're going to grab a fucking gun. You know, it's just like the Duncan Lemp break and break from a couple years back, dude, where the kid grabbed a gun and they fucking killed his ass in his own house at like 3 a.m, dude. And the only reason it was never heard about was because fucking Brown Taylor's bitch ass died the day before that, dude, is what it was. But yeah, Duncan Lemp was murdered the day after she was, dude. So I'd like to point something out, though. Universal background checks, extreme protection orders. That's the same exact bullshit they tried to push here after Dayton in 2019, by the way. What they didn't try to push was the raising the minimum age for purchase of military-style weapons to 21 years old, which, by the way, is fucking ARs and AKs and stuff like that are not military-style weapons, dude. They are semi-automatic versions. They are civilian sporting rifles. They are not fucking M4. Seriously, if they were M4s or M16s or whatever, dude, they would actually have a fucking fun switch on them, and they'd be the civilian versions of military weaponry at that point, dude. This is banning, quote, high-capacity magazines and promoting safe storage of firearms. They also tried that shit here, too, by the way. They also tried the mag bans, and they also tried the safe storage crap here as well. But yeah, they never... I'm sorry. They eventually did try the raising of minimum age to 21, actually. But again, that was knocked down in various committees and stuff like that and everything else like that. So, but yeah, this person said Minnesota requires a permit to purchase for pistols and, quote, assault weapons need to be 21 to get the permit, 18 to possess, 21 to purchase. Yeah, that's fucking stupid as shit, dude, honestly. Let's see, this person, you can obtain a permit at 18 and use for anything other than a handgun in Minnesota. 21-year-old handgun requirement is federal law. Not for permit to, well, okay. It's 21 to buy from an FFL. It's not federal law to have a permit to purchase, though. That is 100% a state law, dude. And by the way, I'd like to point something out on that one. It's fucking Jim Crow laws in 2023, for God's sakes, dude. This is shit that they tried to push back in Martin Luther King Jr.'s time period in the 60s. It's shit they tried to push even before that, back in Prohibition area in the fucking 1920s, dude. The entire point of Jim Crow laws to begin with was to stop black Americans from owning fucking firearms because they're like, oh, all these racist ass motherfuckers back then, dude, they were actually part of the fucking Klan that got in office back then. By the way, the Klan was created by the Democrat Party, the same fucking party that created Antifa and BLM, you know, BLM, a new Klan with a tan at that point in history, you know, in the last 10 years or so here. And the entire point of it is, dude, you had that fucking party literally get their own people into power and then be like, oh no, you can't trust black Americans with guns. You can't trust these people to be armed themselves. It's all bullshit, dude. It's nothing more than fucking a bunch of crap, dude. It's nothing more than modern day poll taxes for gun ownership at this point in this country's history, dude. And that's what pisses me off so much when it comes to specifically North Carolina. You had that little fucking cocksucker, Roy Cooper, have the ability, as governor of that state, like a year and a half ago, to finally sign a piece of legislation into law that would have done away with Jim Crow laws, dude. And what did he do? No, he fucking vetoed it, dude. And you still have to get a permit to purchase in North Carolina still. And it's honestly, it's right then and there is when the lieutenant governor of North Carolina, that Mark, what's his name? That was the dude that came up and was talking about law-abiding citizens speech and stuff like that. And they already used him as like their puppet for a little bit, is what it was, dude. And eventually he did get in office himself as lieutenant governor there because, you know, thankfully when it comes to North Carolina, you don't have to have governor and lieutenant governor on the same ticket. They can be either party people is what it is. And at that point as well, dude, that's what it was. He was actually a Republican, where the governor there's a Democrat. But Mark himself should have stepped the fuck up right then and there and been like, sorry, Roy, you're done here. And he should have talked to the General Assembly and moved for articles of impeachment against Roy Cooper for that shit, dude, entirely. And I mean that seriously. The fact that he didn't is a slap in the face to every single person in North Carolina. I actually do that for two reasons. I'm kind of getting tired. I want to slap myself awake a little bit again. And it's a demonstration of, you know, exactly what it is, dude, which it is. It's a fucking slap in the face to every gun owner in that state, dude, and in most of this country for that matter. And it's the same thing in Minnesota, dude. It's a slap in the face of them people to have to try to put that shit through there, man. It's a bunch of crap, dude. And then to sit there and have all these douchebag anti-gunners sit there and be like, oh, well, this is case precedent in 9 or 10 states or whatever it is. You know what's even more case precedent right now, motherfuckers? Constitutional carry in half the fucking country. Because as of January 1st, 23 fucking days ago, you now have Alabama being the 25th constitutional carry state, bitches. You now have legitimately 1/2 of America being constitutional carry states. That's more case precedent than these fucking retarded ass bullshit unconstitutional permit to purchase fucking laws and legislation that's on the books right now, dude, in these states. You know, it's like the same exact thing with government for that matter, dude. It's like, hey, you want to talk about common use, dude? Military has fucking M4s and M16s. American citizens should have the same fucking things at that point, dude. Full auto switches and everything, bitches. Hell, common use. Fucking rocket launchers on the bottom of the fucking guns. We should have those too. RPGs, we should have those too. Grenades, we should have those too. M16s, we should have those too. You know, everything the U.S. military has, American people should have the ability to buy. And for a decent price, actually, for that matter, dude, be affordable to us at that point. You know, not be like, oh, you can buy a grenade, but it's going to cost you $10 million fucking dollars or something like that per grenade. No, I'm talking about, hey, I can go into a gun shop and go buy a grenade for $300 or something like that, dude. That's what it should cost, honestly. If not less than that, even. Same thing with a fucking RPG. I should be able to go into a gun shop and for like $1,000 buy a fucking RPG, and for like another couple $100 buy a fucking, you know, actual rocket for it is what it is, dude. So, I mean that shit seriously, man. When I say that stuff, when I talk about running for office in the future, dude, and actually possibly being in seats of power, like a governorship or a state rep seat, dude, I plan on introducing legislation like that into fucking legislators, dude. At a state level. Will it ever fucking go through anywhere? Probably not. But again, at least I'm doing something. At least I'm sticking by my fucking word about doing stuff, dude. Are people gonna think I'm a crazy motherfucker for doing stuff like that? Yeah, I'm crazy because I actually respect the fucking constitutional rights of the American people and respect what American citizens should have the right to keep and bear every fucking arm possible, dude. Because that's the entire point. The Second Amendment wasn't just about guns, it was about anything the U.S. government had access to, dude. At the time of our founding in this country, the citizenry and the fucking government both had access to cannons, both had access to warships, both had access to muskets, etc., dude. Nowadays, what do we have? We, the people, don't have access to shit. Fucking military has access to all the stuff, dude. And it's a bunch of shit, dude. Any American citizen, if they wanted to right now, should be able to buy a Humvee with a fucking 50 cal in it. And I mean that seriously, dude. That's how our country should be right now, dude. You know, if you actually had elected representatives, if you actually had elected officials, civil servants, not politicians, civil servants, people that are elected to serve we the fucking people in this country in elected offices, you would actually have them respect the Constitution, what they took to office, and actually rewrite and repeal some shit, dude. Whether it be the NFA of 34, whether it be the Hughes Amendment of 86, et cetera, dude. Whether it be putting new legislation through that would actually be like, no, every American citizen can legally buy a hand grenade now. At least one. Same thing with RPG, et cetera, dude. Now, granted, could that obviously lead to some crazy shit happening in America? Of course. Of course it could, dude. Could it lead to crazy fuckers in Antifa and stuff like that committing more terrorism and shit? Of course it can. But that's the entire point, dude. That's why you actually declare those people as the terrorists they fucking are, and they never have the right to purchase any of that stuff, dude, because they're sitting in prison as fucking felons now, forever. You know, if we even let them go to prison, if we don't just, you know, give them the death penalty at state level and stuff like that, or federal level for that matter, dude, for terrorism and shit. Hell, would our founding fathers put up with the crap we're seeing right now, dude? Fuck no. They would have killed those fuckers off a long time ago, dude. Are you kidding me? The second Antifa tried to rise up, you would have had the founding fathers smack their fucking dicks down, is what it is, dude. Seriously. Would have kicked their fucking dicks in the dirt then. Same thing with the fucking tyrannical government, dude. You know, there's a reason why it took like a decade for 1776 to happen, dude. Because it was basically our founders in this country, the Washingtons, the Jeffersons, the Ben Franklins, etc., sitting there and being like, okay, we got to organize, we got to do it, you know, smartly, people, because if we don't, we're going to be tried for high treason, because technically they were the actual terrorists at the time in the country's history. You know, the British Empire, those that controlled everything back then, they were the government, dude. Our founding fathers were actual terrorists in this country in their own time period. Had they not succeeded, they would have been hung for high treason against the British Empire. So, that being said, they would have also taken care of the actual terrorists that were doing all kinds of stupid shit is what it is, dude. You know, if there was Antifa back in their days, they would have been fucking individually yanked out of their houses and probably tarred and feathered and stuff like that, is my guess, honestly, dude. So, because by the way, they used to do that politicians back in them days too, as well. You know, they would yank them people out of office and stuff like that, and fucking run them down the street. And somebody have a couple people would have buckets of hot ass tar, and other people would have buckets of dirty ass chicken feathers. What it was, dude. And it'd be like splash, splash, et cetera, et cetera. So, honestly, I'll tell you right now, if that was an actual penalty for the crimes that all these motherfuckers in office right now are committing, dude, whew, buddy, you would have a lot of people resigning in disgrace immediately as a alternative to that, man. And I'll tell you right now, it would honestly be worth it, man, to just have tar and feathering be like a mandatory thing right now, and see how many people would just be like, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and resign instead. I'm just gonna go ahead and pull a Jacinda Ardern kind of thing and just resign and never be heard from again kind of thing is what it is, dude. So, but yeah, I guarantee you, man, there'd be a lot of fucking people. There'd be a lot of fucking people that would not be in office anymore, and it would be for the better, honestly, because at least then, you know, like the thing of it is, man, like you have to keep checks and balances, and when, you know, those in power that are elected into power don't respect the will of the people, don't respect the actual voter bases and stuff like that, don't respect our rights as the populace, you know, as their, you know, constituency, etc. It's time to show them who the actual bosses are again, dude, for real. And I believe it's way past time to start having legislation on the books for stuff like I said a minute ago. So, anyway. But, yeah. It's a whole thing anymore, dude. And, I'm personally just sick and tired of all of it, man. I would love to see this country get back to normal, but unfortunately, I don't think it's going to happen without some kind of bloodshed right now. Am I calling for that? No. Am I saying that's what's going to happen? Yes. Am I saying there's going to be people out here that are going to try to do some shit and then people are going to get, you know, whatever in response? Probably is what it is, you know. Big picture scenario. What do I see happening in the next 100-something days right now because of that bullshit ATF thing? I see some stupid people creating a gun registry for them, creating a gun confiscation list for them. Sometime this summer, I think the ATF's going to start kicking doors in. I think there's going to be people that are going to shoot some of them, honestly. And I think you're going to have a lot of people who understand that, hey, some of the funding that was in those omnibus bills that talked about ATF agents, funerals, and like life insurance stuff like that or whatever, dude, is going to come to fruition, honestly. Do I think the pistol brace whole thing is the hill to die on? Yes, I do, actually. I think for a lot of people it will be, because when you're having people who are not respecting Americans' rights to keep and bear arms, when you're having agencies who don't even have legal authority to do anything, who are overstepping their bounds and not having their fucking face smacked around or having their dick kicked in or whatever the case be by Congress, etc., who, by the way, if we had Congress doing their job right now, they would be doing a joint resolution, dude. And a simple joint resolution, a CWA, would be all it took to knock down that ATF ruling as the unconstitutional piece of crap it is, dude. And it would be null and voided at that point, dude. There'd never have to be bloodshed. There'd never have to be confiscation. There'd be anything, dude. People wouldn't have to worry about registering anything at this point, dude, which, by the way, is a giant trap in of itself. Because you would actually have us having true representation again, is what it is. The problem is when you have stupid people who don't understand what's really going on, or they're just like, ooh, a free tax stamp. It's not free, dude. Even the people writing, even people like John Crump, etc., dude, who have written articles about this before, they even specifically stated, people from GOA and stuff like that have stated already, dude, they're like, no, it's not a free tax stamp. What it is it's they're waiving a fee for the time being because they can't just do away with it, is what it is. What are they going to do? They're going to call on that fee at some point, dude. If you don't have the fucking $200 to fucking pony up, dude, guess what? You're now a fucking felon. They're now going to arrest you on a felony for having an SBR, is what it is. Because you don't have a tax stamp. God forbid they're even going to process the shit to even give you the fucking tax stamp to begin with, dude. Here's the thing. 88 days, 88 days is interesting, right? You file, first of all, the way that form is right now, you put your fucking shit in there, dude. You are admitting that you have an SBR right now illegally, which you do not. You have an AR pistol with a legal brace on it that you bought legally. The second that you submit that shit as an SBR, you are telling the fucking federal government, I am now in possession of something that would make me a felon. Come kick my door in. Meanwhile, you are giving that same agency, who should not have the power to do these things, the ability to have 88 days now to process through your application and give you the tax stamp for that thing that you're now considering SBR at this point. They're not going to do that, dude. It's taken them 9, 10, 12 months in some cases to get people's fucking suppressor shit back, dude. Or anything else that's NFA items right now. You really think they're going to have that shit done in less than 3 months for you when you have potentially tens to thousands of people, or I should say tens of thousands of people potentially also sending that stuff in? No, dude. You're having like 30, 40 agents probably at most in the ATF division that actually does tax stamps and stuff like that. And you're going to backlog these people years in advance, dude. That's what it's all about, dude. It's to create a couple things, actually. First of all, it's to create a giant backlog so they'll never get you processed in time. Secondly, which is more firstly, actually, they're trying to see how many dumb people actually have AR pistols in this country right now that would be willing to register the stuff so that they could create a giant confiscation list to go steal your shit, is what it is, dude. And that's the entire point of the whole thing. When you have them doing all kinds of shady fucking shit that they can't even legally do, it's fucking go time, bro. It really is. Now, granted, do I have to worry about this stuff? No, I don't, because I don't have a fucking AR pistol is what it is, dude. I don't have an AR pistol. I don't have any kind of fucking braces. I don't have anything like that, dude. Do I kind of wish I did? So I could actually take these fuckers to court over this shit? Yes, I do, actually. Did I have the money at the time to buy any of that stuff? No, I did not. And that's why I don't have any of it right now. And that's the entire point, man. And that is the one thing I can say with true honesty right now, dude. I do not own AR pistols. I do not own pistol braces. But this is not like bump stocks, dude. Bump stocks were an entirely different thing in itself. That's why you had so many people being like, it's just bump stocks. Who really owns those things? A couple hundred, a couple thousand people, something like that at the time, dude. That's who owned them. You know how many people own braces? You know how many people own AR pistols, dude? tens of thousands, if not at least a couple million right now. Anybody that's ever bought an AR pistol at a fucking FFL or whatever the case be, dude, whether it be a CAC brace on it, whether it be a fucking, slidable brace, etc., dude, they all own that stuff right now, dude. It was legally purchased weaponry. And at the time, just like today, you can, as far as I'm aware, still legally purchase it, as you should be able to. The entire point of braces, number one, was for Americans with disabilities. It was the people that actually needed the stuff, people like Weldon Well Armed, who was a wheelchair-bound man in Georgia. They needed that shit because it's the only way they can actually defend themselves, because they actually strap the brace properly to their arm and use it that way. Now, granted, how do most people use it? They actually technically do shoulder is what it is, dude. Who cares? This was a legal workaround to the bullshit unconstitutionality of the fucking National Firearms Act 1934, dude, that was literally created as a fuck you to various mobsters like Al Capone at the time, dude. It is the last remnants of Prohibition era fucking tyranny in this country, dude. Almost 100 years later now. Of course, it's never gone up from the $200 back then, dude, because you know how much $200 back then was in today's money? It's like $6,000 to $7,000 fucking dollars or more, dude. It's a shitload of money now, dude. Hell, $200 to me is still a lot of fucking money, dude. That's a gun for me in most cases, depending on the gun. You know, a pretty close one anyway. Cheap handguns and stuff like that. Your Tauruses and whatnot. But the entire point is, man, $200 back then, just like today, for a lot of people, it's still a lot of money, dude, honestly. You know, it's not chicken fee, for God's sakes. And the entire point of the matter is, when you have all of this bullshit culminating now conveniently with more massacres, like it seems like every day now, you hear about another one here and there is what it is now. Shit, you had the Monterey Park there, and then of course you had this fucking other one yesterday in some at-risk school or something like that in Iowa, where I'm pretty sure it was some like crazy motherfucker who walked in with a gun and started shooting other classmates. Is what it was, dude. Who was like one of these troubled teens or whatever, who had a lot of behavioral issues and stuff like that, would be my guess, honestly, dude. So it was some nutcase, really. Which, I mean, shit, man. How does every kid nowadays, after 2 years of fucking lockdowns and mask mandates and all this other shit like that, at fucking, 5, 6, 8, 10 years old, not have behavioral issues now is what it is, dude, at 12, 14, 15, whatever now. 8, 10 now or whatever it is, dude. It's like, Jesus. I'll tell you what, man. Like I said it before, I'll say again, man. I think we're real close right now in this country's history to seeing the rise of Mexican jokers again. And what I mean by that is it goes back to the South Park thing, dude, where it's basically an oxymoron kind of thing, because it's essentially you're afraid of this thing that doesn't exist, but in being so fearful of it and then fear mongering it, you are actually making it into existence is what it is. And so what you're going to have is you're going to have this, entire younger generation now that is so stunted in growth, basically, and eventually resentful is what it'll be because of having all this crap pushed upon them and stuff like that as small children. I 100% think in the next 3 to 5 years, you're going to see a lot of fucking kids either start killing their parents or start killing teachers and stuff, dude, honestly, that have pushed all this crap. And, whether that be, next year or two here, whether it be, like I said, a couple years down the road, like closer to 2030s, it would be then. But I would not be surprised at least if it started, honestly, dude. And it would be based solely on the fact that these people, push this crap on these kids, man. They destroyed these kids' brains is what it was, dude. And it's unfortunate. And then, like I said, now you got this other massacre there in California, like yesterday is what it was, where as far as I'm aware, it was fucking some kind of like Chinese cartel guys that did it, man. And as far as I'm aware, the people that were killed in it were some like Chinese foreign national people that were in California there that had gotten like green card citizenship or something like that is what it was. So But yeah, it's just a bunch of shit all the way around. And you have all these people that are just trying to blame the gun. It's always blame the gun, blame the gun, blame the gun, not the criminal. You know. But yet, meanwhile, if you you're drunk driving and kill a bunch of people, it's like, no, blame the drunk driver, not the fucking vehicle, as it should be, And that's what it is, man. And God forbid these fucking governors or these state legislators would actually go after the criminal element in their states. But oh no, you can't do that. You can't go after the Antifa terrorists that are fucking destroying your state and your country for the last several years now is what it is, dude. Can't just declare them a terrorist organization and lock their fucking asses up for terrorism and stuff. Which, by the way, in of itself is kind of a joke when you got fucking most likely some Soros paid DA in Georgia there, letting the motherfucker who was tried with terrorism like 2 months ago back out on bail, and the guy was arrested most recently at this newest Antifa attack there in Georgia over the weekend now. And it's like, Jesus fucking Christ, people. I was actually watching local media last night about that to see if they told the truth about what it was there. And it's like, of course they didn't, dude. Of course they're just like, oh, a bunch of protesters in Georgia got all angry about some stuff because their buddy was killed. And it's like, no, a bunch of Antifa terrorists started burning down the shit. You literally have video footage from their side now, which, by the way, I actually called out my state legislator people on this one on Twitter. And I said, you guys need to use this fucking video right here as the means to declare Antifa a terrorist organization that it is now, dude, because it's an Andy No video that he had sent to him, and it's from some dude on Antifa's side that is literally showing you had a collective community bag of rocks and boulders and shit that Antifa had this past weekend in Georgia, so they could smash up fucking shops and everything else like that, dude. And they also had other kinds of weapons with them, not to mention had organization in their ranks to both have the black bloc going on and make sure that everybody was masked so that they couldn't be identified during the events they were committing terrorism in, dude. Whether it be arson or whether it be, smash and grabs or whatever the case be there. So, yeah, 100% do these people should be tried as terrorists at this point. It should be declared as terrorists nationwide at this point, honestly, dude. And the same thing with BLM as an affiliate to them at this point, man. Because even when you look back at what happened here in Dayton in 2019, with that motherfucker that committed that attack, dude. That dude had ties to both those fucking terrorist organizations, dude. Both the Antifa and BLM. He was an affiliate of both those assholes. And that's why everybody should be fucking tried at this point for that shit, dude. I've called for it before, so I'll call for it again right now, dude. That dude's parents should be tried for part of that fucking shit, dude, because they fucking could have stopped it. The fucking ex-girlfriend who was fucking around on her fiance with this asshole should have been fucking charged with some shit because he was literally telling her he was going to do something before she broke off with things with them is what it was, dude. Hell, she fucking drove him to an ex's place where he basically left death threats on her fucking doorstep is what it was, dude. Leaving like a note or something attached to her fucking door is what it was. And it's like, you could have stopped this motherfucker with some Baker Act shit long before he committed his massacre there in August of 2019, but you didn't do shit. Who actually stopped it? The fucking Dayton cops that put a bullet through his fucking body with an AR, dude. Because the dumb son of a bitch was too stupid to actually wear plates that were rifle caliber rated. So when the rifle round went through the fucking pistol caliber rated plates, it went right through his fucking chest. And there were several of them too, by the way. We could also get into talk all day about how at least 2 of the people killed in that massacre were actually killed by police rounds and not the actual 5.56 the kid was carrying that night. Because it was 9mm bullets that were found in their bodies, and he had a 5.56 rifle. So we could also talk about, because the cops using their actual patrolman's rifles as well, there could have been more than just 2, because you don't know, man. Depending on which, if they were using 2.23 or 5.56, and that kid was using 2.23 or 5.56, depending on which one it was, if it was like green tips or it wasn't green tips or what it was, dude. Like, if they would pull something out that did not correlate to the rounds he was actually using that night, like, that might be knowing the cops on that one, dude. Unfortunately, that's collateral damage in most cases, dude, because you were basically stopping an active threat. And it's like, them possibly, shooting a few times at the dude's general direction and it missing and hitting someone else close to him or whatever the case be that may have already been dying for that matter. At least they stopped the massacre is what it was, dude. Now, granted, is it right they weren't brought up on charges? No, it wasn't, honestly, dude. They probably should have caught some charges too on that one for not being able to stop collateral damage is what it was, dude. So, anyway, minimum they should have been on desk duty for a long time in their lives, honestly, and the police forces, if they were even part of the police force after that, if that'd be the case. But the entire point I'm trying to make is, though, you got different things happening in all these things. You got that dude being taken out by cops. You got the most recent ones there in California, that Monterey Park one, that guy taking himself out with a self-inflicted gunshot wound, and then the guy yesterday being taken into custody is what it was, dude. So you got the Lunar New Year guy being, killing himself, basically. You got the fucking dude who did the one against the people at the mushroom farm. He was taken into custody alive, armed. And then you got the fucking kid in Iowa, who I'm not sure what happened to him, if that be the case. So, but yeah. And that's the problem. You have the media talking about the shit 24/7, and it's like, of course you're going to keep making more and more of these people, dude. Is what it is. But anyway, that's where we're at for the day. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you all on the next one.